Ryan Murphy reveals the official title and filming start date for Monster Season 3. Netflix's anthology series, created by Ian Brennan and Ryan Murphy, explores the lives of real monstrous figures, with the first season focusing on serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, played by Evan Peters, and the second season focusing on Lyle and Eric Menendez, played by Nicholas Alexander Chavez and Cooper Koch, a pair of brothers who murdered their parents. Monster Season 3 is currently in the works. The new season will focus on serial killer Ed Gein, played by Charlie Hunnam. In an interview with Collider, Ryan Murphy revealed that Monster Season 3 is officially titled The Original Monster and starts shooting on Halloween, October 31st. He also discussed at length why Ed Gein was chosen as the subject of Season 3 and how the show will connect to the origins of true crime-related content. Read his full comments below. What Monster Season 3's title and filming start date mean for the show? The title breaks the show's trend. The first two seasons of Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story and the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, feature their subjects' names in their titles. Monster Season 3, titled The Original Monster, breaks this trend completely. As the title suggests, Ed Gein came before both Jeffrey Dahmer and the Menendez brothers, having operated in the 1950s. Dahmer didn't come until much later, committing his various murders between 1978 and 1991. Eric and Lyle Menendez killed their parents around the same time in 1989. The stark difference between those decades justifies the title and means a different aesthetic for the show Monsters. The Lyle and Eric Menendez story was just released on September 19, so for Season 3 to start shooting so soon on October 31st is an incredibly quick turnaround time. The all-new cast justifies the change, but it still marks a serious surprise for a major show. The first season was released on Netflix around the same time, on September 21, 2022, but with Season 3 shooting so soon, it should be ready to release in September 2025. Other than Charlie Hunnam as Ed Gein, it's unknown who else will be starring in Season 3. Is Ed Gein the original monster? Other widely recognized serial killers predate Gein. Jack the Ripper in Unsolved Mysteries. Gein is undoubtedly a serial killer who has amassed massive cultural recognition, but he was not the first to prove extremely influential in the true crime communities and pop culture. Jack the Ripper, who has never been outright identified, was active in the late 1800s, preceding Gein by nearly a century. There were countless other killers before and after Jack the Ripper, but few achieved the notoriety of the heavily investigated monster. Attempting to claim that Gein is the original monster is misplaced from a media standpoint, as he was hardly the first to achieve widespread celebrity for his crimes. Where Gein has become influential, however, is in American media. As he committed his crimes in post-World War II Plainfield, Wisconsin, he was the first to earn media attention in an entirely new journalistic landscape. He captured the American consciousness as Jack the Ripper became sensationalized in England in the 1880s. As movies and TV shows still prove today, he never released his grip on the media either. The sheer fact that Gein was arrested and questioned about his murders helped to set him apart, as authorities were available to learn about the psychology of criminals in a way that they never could before. The rise of the still-developing field of psychology also contributed, as investigators were able to study the psychological ramifications behind Gein's actions. That led to more discoveries, sparking more media attention. By focusing on Gein, Monster Season 3 can recognize the influence that he had on the new American culture that was developing in the 1940s and 1950s when Gein was still active. Our take on Monster Season 3's title. How did our interest in such figures begin? Ed Gein in Psycho, The Lost Tapes of Ed Gein. As Ryan Murphy mentions, Season 3's title, The Original Monster, indicates how it will explore the origins of cultural fascination with serial killers. Murphy believes it traces back to Ed Gein, who arguably became the first celebrity serial killer when his crimes garnered significant media attention in 1957. Season 3 should also explore how Ed Gein inspired multiple horror movies, including Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and more. By focusing on the original monster, Ed Gein, Monster Season 3 will explore how our interest in such monstrous figures began. His influence is undoubtedly profound. Robert Bloch's Psycho, which inspired the Alfred Hitchcock movie, was released in 1959, just 2 years after Gein's capture. Gein's obsession with his mother defined Norman Bates, and Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho directly names Gein as an influence for its titular killer. Nearly every major serial killer in movies and shows today can trace something back to Gein, whether it be from the killer himself or from the other fictional murderers that were inspired by him.